You know that movie Liar Liar, the classic Jim Carrey comedy? Well, what if I told you it's secretly a horror film? In this explainer, we're going to pull back the curtain on this 90s classic and uncover a theory that is genuinely unsettling. We're going to see how the funniest parts of the movie might actually be the most terrifying.
Okay, so let's jump right into that iconic scene, right? The pen is blue. Fletcher Reede is literally at war with himself, and his body is just rebelling. And yeah, we're all laughing, it's peak Jim Carrey, but what if something way darker is happening here? What if we're not just watching a guy struggle with a lie? What if we're watching his entire reality completely fall apart?
So, to really get to the bottom of this, we've got to look past the slapstick. The agony Fletcher feels, it's not just a physical gag, it's way deeper. It's existential. We're talking about a guy whose entire universe, his very idea of who he is, just stops working. Okay, think about who Fletcher is. He's a lawyer. And for him, words aren't just words, they're weapons. They're his entire toolkit for navigating the world. And he doesn't just use language, he twists it, he bends it to his will. The lies he tells aren't little fibs. They're the very bricks and mortar of his career, his relationships, his whole identity. For him, lying is literally power. So then his son makes that wish, and in the movie it's this sweet, kind of magical moment. But if you look at it through a psychoanalytic lens, it's actually a traumatic event. Seriously, this one single impossible rule, you must tell the truth, gets slammed down on him, and it just completely shatters the foundation of everything he's ever built. So how do we even begin to unpack all this? Well, it turns out there's a key. And that key comes from a French psychoanalyst, a guy named Jacques Lacan. His ideas give us this incredible framework to see what's really going on, to see the genuine horror that's hiding just beneath the surface of all that comedy.
Okay, so Lacan called the world we all live in the symbolic order. And it's not just about words. It's everything. It's all the unspoken rules, the laws, the social contracts that we all just kind of agree to follow so society doesn't collapse. Things like stopping at a red light, or shaking hands, or even the entire legal system. It's the whole grid we use to make sense of the world together.
But here's where it gets creepy. Lacan said that underneath this neat, orderly world, there's something else. He called it the real. And the real is pure chaos. It's a terrifying, meaningless abyss that words can't even touch. It's everything our structured reality is designed to protect us from. The symbolic order is like a thin sheet of ice over a deep, dark, chaotic ocean. So you've got these two forces pushing against each other, right? You've got the symbolic, our structured, organized reality built with language and rules. And then you have the real, this unknowable, meaningless chaos it's trying to cover up. And that right there, that's the battleground that Fletcher gets thrown onto. And this is the absolute core of the idea. Fletcher's curse, it's not just about making him tell the truth. It's so much more than that. It completely severs his connection to the symbolic order. It's like his shield gets ripped away and he's left totally exposed to that raw, chaotic real. So let's go back to that pen for a second. When he's fighting to say the word red, it's not just a funny moment where he can't lie. What's actually happening is his power to use language to define his reality is completely failing him. He's suddenly in a world where his words mean nothing, where they have no power. And that's terrifying. It's like staring right into the abyss. His lie was the only thing protecting him, and boom, it's gone. And that physical pain, that full body convulsion, Lacan actually has a word for that too. It's called jouissance. It's this weird paradoxical thing. It's like a painful pleasure you get from hitting a hard limit, a fundamental prohibition. It's the pure agony of his body trying and failing to wrestle back control over language. So while we're laughing at the physical comedy, what we're actually witnessing is this incredibly profound suffering. Okay, now let's take this whole idea and walk it into the courtroom, because this is where the stakes get raised to a whole new level. I mean, what is a courtroom really? It's the ultimate stage for the symbolic order. It's a place built entirely on language, on rules, on fictions we all agree to call the truth. And what happens when he's forced to tell the truth about his client, and then he tries to object to his own truth-telling? The whole system just short-circuits. He can't speak, he's just flailing around, completely powerless. He has literally been unplugged from the very system that made him a lawyer in the first place. It's like a puppet whose strings have just been snipped. This corner he's backed into, it's a perfect example of what Lacan called a forced choice.
It's a lose-lose situation. He can tell the truth, which means destroying his entire career and identity, or he can stay silent, which means being totally cut off from society, from language itself. Either way, he's erased. He loses the very thing that makes him him.
Okay, but this is where the theory gets really interesting, because it stops being just about Fletcher. It zooms out and suggests something pretty radical about all of us. The idea is that our entire society is held together by these necessary fictions.
Lacan had a really powerful metaphor for this. He said that these fictions, these lies, they're like stitches or sutures. They're what we use to sew up the holes in reality, to patch over all the messy, contradictory parts so we can create this nice, neat illusion that the world makes sense. And if you think about Fletcher, that's exactly what he was doing, right? His lies held together the fantasy that he was a great lawyer, a good partner, a dad who was there for his kid. The second he can't lie anymore, all those fantasies just shatter, and the messy, complicated truth comes pouring out. And that's the moment the whole analysis turns the camera back on us. It makes you ask a pretty uncomfortable question, doesn't it? What are the little fictions, the necessary lies that hold your life together? So, the film wraps up with a nice, clean moral. Honesty is the best policy. Happy ending. Roll credits. But if you actually follow this Lacanian thread all the way to the end, you get a conclusion that is way, way darker. That happy Hollywood ending is basically just trying to put everything back in the box, to restore the symbolic order. But the real lesson of the movie isn't in the ending. The real gut punch is in those moments of horrifying silence. The moments where Fletcher's reality completely collapses. So, here's the shocking takeaway. What the film accidentally demonstrates is that we need to lie, not want to, need to. That lies aren't just a moral weakness, they're a basic psychological defense mechanism. They're the thin wall that protects our fragile minds from a universe that, at its core, is just meaningless chaos. And that's the final haunting question that this reading of the film leaves you with. What if pure, unvarnished truth isn't some noble, liberating force? What if it's actually a kind of psychic annihilation? A force so powerful it would shatter our ability to even speak and leave all of us just like Fletcher, silent, helpless, and staring right into the void.